Hello, everyone. This is Joe Dagger, Business 101, and with me today is Bob Petruska. Bob is with Sustain Lean Consulting in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we're here a little bit to talk about creating an A3 learning organization. Well, I think you make the transition from 2 to 3, okay? We all know the left side of an A3 is kind of about planning. The do, check, act is the right side. But I think the thing that you, in this map that really kind of makes it interesting to me is that you say root causes, not root cause. Okay?
Right.
Because you're really not sure, and that really does help us to move over to the right side and conduct the experiment. It's not, as you mentioned, it's not a linear thing.
Exactly. And the interactions that we have it's important for us to understand interactions. And when I can tell you the most beneficial thing I learned was the experimental design in statistics, right? And there was the Taguchi methods and all that. And it really opened up my mind to interactions. And so when we talk about experimenting, I want to know what your hypothesis is. I want to know what your assumptions were, because I'm interested in understanding your way of thinking. And then the thing about experiment is it opens up the door for surprise, right? That's where the light bulb comes in. It's like, okay, we're going to open our minds to surprise. If you tell people, I want to make this change, hardly anyone's going to get on. But if you say, hey, you want to run an experiment with me? That's interesting, and that compels people. And this question, how might we, is really open. And it opens the door for optimism, right? And what do you expect will happen speaks to that kata, which is saying, okay, what do you think will happen? Help me understand your assumptions and so on. And then what we do is kind of this iteration, right? We're after learning and learning and learning and sharing the knowledge that we've just uncovered in the results of our trials.
And I think that's a great way to put it. And the one thing that I learned from Toyota Kata, since we discussed that a little bit more so than anything else, is that, we have this experiment, but it's like, how can we chunk this experiment down into smaller pieces? And the littlest experiment we can make to prove our concept to take the next one. And I kind of, is that what you're saying, meaning by the iteration and the
Exactly.
circles and the, the arrow going up
Exactly.
down there?
Yeah. So it always takes trials, right? What I like about Takata also is this is kind of this daily mindset, right? It's this practice. And so what we look for here is people to give a try and see what happens. Now, of course, we always careful to make sure that no one will get injured in the process. So safety issues, obviously, as a coach, you're going to ask the question, if what do you expect will happen if there is something safety related, you might want to intervene right at that point. That's non-negotiable. But other things that might happen, what I think is interesting, when people finally get to the idea, how could we recreate the defect? Right? If we're seeing gaps, we're seeing problems, how do you recreate it? Sometimes that unravels the mystery of how do you make it in the first place or how it got made. Because often we're looking at things after they've happened and not in real time. So that's where you want to get out into the Gemba and find out for sure. Experimentation brings you into the Gemba, it speaks to the Gemba, and it honors the Gemba.
You've written a book on, Gimba service walks and service. I deal a lot in the knowledge working area or the sales and marketing. And when we talk about safety and not hurting someone, what about egos? What about hurting someone's mindset in these experiments? I mean, how do you handle something like that? We all kind of get bruised there a little bit. Experiments are tough on individuals and groups and teams
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. Can you touch upon
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, so that's happened to me too, and I know that we have to be emotionally intelligent, right? We have to understand the body language of the person we're with and so on. But I think the key is we go into the idea with an open mind, and that's where that learning and sharing goes in. Look, I'm going to share with you the results. Let's run this experiment, see how it goes. If there's big objections, right? And there's somebody really upset and you can tell that this is going to really cause problems, you just might want to put that one on hold and give that person some time to come around and warm up to it. Dealing with people is always complex, and we are in the people business. We have to hold their hands at times and help them to get to where we want them to go, but often we might want to change the way we're approaching it as well. So if we feel like there's a lot of resistance and there's a lot of, I guess, stakes in the ground and things like that, we have to approach it with tact, and we have to take our time with it.
So we can't be that bull in the china cabinet to get our experiment done, right?
No, but that's why we invite people. And I might ask, how might we? So if somebody's resisting, I'm saying, well, what do you think? What would you like to try? What would you suggest we do differently? Sometimes smother them with kindness works, right? Because we want to make sure to bring them along. Often somebody that's very highly opinionated stands to learn a lot, right? And so that learning is never really easy, is it? If you think about all the different times we've ever learned, it's probably terrified us the most. It's because we have to give something up that we've relied on for many years until the assumptions are no longer valid. In other words, the exceptions to the rule become greater than the rule, and that forces us to throw out what we know. And what we know is comforting, right? It's getting outside of our comfort zone, and it will cause some people to really want to be Luddites, right?
Tell me where someone can contact you and the best way to get a hold of you.
Bob Petruska is my name, and my website is bobpetruska.com, www.bobpetruska.com, or you can pick up the phone and give me a holler, 704-615-3731.
I encourage people to reach out to you. A resource of information, a great resource of knowledge, and one of the more people persons in the consulting side that I know. So thanks a lot, Bob, for your time, and a great looking A3 here.
Thank you, Joe. Have a great one.